All right. Hey, team. Welcome to Colbyashi Maru, the show where devs all over the world boldly face off with the most logical tools of the web. I'm Colby Fayok, your Space Jelly commander and host of today's challenge. Today we have Kurt Kemple. Kurt is a developer relations manager at Apollo GraphQL and also a co host of the podcast Full Stack Health. Let's bring him in. Hey, Kurt, do you want to give yourself a quick intro or is there anything else you'd like to add to that?
You did a fantastic job. I'll just follow up again just to say, yeah, I'm a developer relations manager at Apollo, developer advocate at heart. Love, everything GraphQL, and hopefully you'll learn something pretty interesting today.
Awesome. Well, if you're new to Colbyashi Maru, our guests will have 1 hour to complete their challenge. Through that time, Kurt will talk out loud as he's working through that challenge. We'll also be asking questions along the way. So if you have a question, don't hesitate to reach out in the chat and I'll definitely send it over to Kurt. So today, Kurt will be facing off against building a federated GraphQL API with Apollo Server, Apollo Gateway, and Apollo Studio. If he doesn't finish, all is not lost. We'll see if he has enough time to finish up, or we'll chat about what the next steps would look like. So Kurt, before we actually dive in, do you want to just talk a little bit about the tools that you'll be using today and what you'll use or what you'll be building?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to be going deep into the GraphQL space. So this is really about folks who are interested in building GraphQL APIs. And what we're talking about is federated GraphQL APIs. And what that means is it's when we take a group, whether that's 2 or 50 GraphQL schemas, and we combine all of those together into one single schema that we present to any downstream clients or the public or teams or whoever it may be. But underneath, we get the flexibility, the scalability, and just kind of the domain boundaries that we've expect from like microservice architectures and things like that. So yeah, so we can have, whether it's, you're a team of 2 or 3 or it's a bunch of teams, essentially you get to bucket the business logic together, organize it, locally, but then expose just that one single graph. So it enables, teams, both small and large, to move more quickly with GraphQL, better define responsibilities and boundaries between the different parts of a GraphQL API, and just essentially kind of communicate, collaborate a little bit better, and have a little bit more freedom.
That's awesome. And as we were kind of talking before we started the show, it's amazing how transformative GraphQL can be for teams where they're used to chaining a bunch of REST endpoints together, where of course REST has its place, but GraphQL really can change how teams can kind of collaborate.
Yeah, absolutely. It really does change. Like GraphQL is often transformative in organizations. Once you have kind of this relationship and this like tree, this graph structure, and understanding, all of the different parts of your system, right? Like your business, it really changes the conversation. And as such, a graph tends to become a place that is the center of communication and the center of collaboration. And at Apollo, we've seen that. We've seen it happen with companies and long-tailed individual developers, with everyone, right? Like the graph becomes the source of truth. And so we've invested in tooling to help make that process even easier for folks and more delightful to deal with. Because one of the main benefits of a GraphQL API is that it evolves slowly, and over time, it's meant to be more agile, right? And more forgiving. But there's a flip side to that coin, as there always is. And when things are more agile, and when we're not scheduling like a big release or a version for like a REST API, communication can break down. Little changes come in, they get introduced, and then that breaks a client, right? Or something gets added, but somebody else needs something slightly different. And so you end up with like a bunch of these small little bugs that can get introduced, and that really hurts your velocity. Either that, or you just end up having to build more process, right? Like get that communication going. And so it can slow things down. So what Apollo Studio, which is what we'll be using to manage a lot of this federated setup, does is aim to alleviate those problems, right? By adding features and stuff that will help. And like some of them is like checks, which we'll take a look at. And you can compare the changes you make in your schema against what exists in the Apollo registry. And that will actually use operation monitoring, so metrics coming from your downstream clients to say, hey, if you change this, you're going to break like this client and this client because they use this query and this mutation and stuff like that. So it's really powerful stuff, really impressive, really helps teams move much faster. And today we're going to look at we're going to get Federation set up and just look at a couple real quick, some of those tools that help make working with a federated API a lot more appealing.
Awesome, man. Well, if you're ready to get started, I think we can get the timer going. We're good to go.
Yeah, I'm ready to go. So I haven't prepared much for this because the whole point is like accomplish something in an hour, and like my whole spiel is like Federation. It shouldn't be daunting or like too unapproachable. So hopefully we get through this, and I can eat my own words, not eat my own words, and it goes.
I think that sounds great.
Yeah. I'm excited.
I'm gonna start the timer in 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, cool. So I'm not sure if y'all can folks see my screen yet. I don't have the stream up, so I'm not sure if that's
up sorry yet. Yeah, the screen's up. Yep.
Perfect. Cool. As you can see here, we have a VS Code, and there's nothing in it. So in this project, we have a README file. Now, I have snippeted some things which I'll be bringing in over from a GIST, but not too much. Just some stuff about YAML files and things like for GitHub workflows that I don't want to have to tinker with to slow us down. But everything that is related to this federated setup, we'll do together. So the cool thing about federated graphs is that you can work in a mono repo type setup, and you can get some good CI/CD going to make sure that everything is deployed and checked when it should be. But it's nice because we can have this mono repo, all the code can live together, but we can still kind of get that experience of individual people being responsible for their own areas. So I'm going to go ahead and, also I'm on Windows. This is my first time developing on Windows. I probably should have done this a lot before. It is a bold move. We'll see how it plays out for me. It's a bold move, Cotton. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. So what I'm going to do, we'll build an example app. I'm going to use something it's relatively simple as an example, but still real use case that I think would apply. And so, we could do something I think e-commerce, right? E-commerce is something that lots of folks have to build. It's a situation that some folks could probably relate to or be familiar with. So we're going to have a couple services under here. So we're going to have an accounts service. So I'll create a folder for that, and then we're going to make a new folder. We're going to have, so accounts will kind of handle our users, right? Like all the information about the different accounts with this e-commerce platform. We'll also have our products, right? So products are what it is that we're going to sell, or maybe it's some sort of SaaS, but regardless, we'll have that. And then we'll have one more, right? So another folder, and this will be for our reviews. So all those folks with accounts can leave reviews on these products. Oops, I nested that accidentally. So delete, which one? Yes, okay. There we go, new folder, reviews, cool. So now we've got these 3 root projects. Now, here's, oh wow, that's cool. Reviews has a custom icon.
That was one of the,
yeah. It is interesting. So now there's one more piece to this, right? Because these are our subgraphs, right? And so each one of these is going to expose a piece of the puzzle, but we want to provide to the world the full piece, right? The closed picture. So we're going to add one more folder here, and this one we're going to call the gateway. This is how everyone gets into our different services, right? So this is how we tie them all together and expose one single API to everybody. So we'll start with bootstrapping out these GraphQL APIs first, and then we'll connect them to the gateway, and we'll do all of that locally. Okay. So what I'm going to do is let's cd into, we'll just do products, and we'll start here. I'm going to do npm init-y. Cool. So now we have our npm, or npm is set up. We have our package JSON. We can start installing dependencies and scaffolding out a GraphQL API. So one thing I'm going to do real quick, I'm going to jump over here to GitHub, and I'm going to grab a small snippet of code. You can see here it's called subgraph JS. So a very thin boilerplate of code. So let's take that, Control C, not Command, Control, and we'll come back here and we'll go into products. We're going to do new file, index.js. All right, so, oops, we don't want this one. We just want these ones. Yes, cool. Cool. So, actually,
do you mind zooming in the bumping up the font size a little bit?
No, yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Hang on. Oh, wrong button. Okay. Cool. That should be relatively, relatively large. There we go. All right, let me know if that's good, folks. I think I could probably go one more. We could zoom in one more for sure. Okay. So what we have here, I'm very confused why I have GQL here when I don't need it. Well, let's just remove it for now. Okay, so what we have here is we're going to be pulling in Apollo server from Apollo server, but because it's a federated schema, we're also going to use this Apollo federation library, and this is where it gets slightly different. In everything is pretty much the same except for this line here. So if I were just setting up a GraphQL API and I was not using federation, if I removed this one line, and of course this import to go along with it, this would be the same as if we were setting up a regular GraphQL API. So it's adding one more step to the process. And what happens is federation takes advantage of something called directives. Directives are a feature of GraphQL that allow you to extend kind of the functionality of the graph, or almost like middleware decorators. They allow you to change like the behavior or do something specific with your graph, right, in relation to that level of the graph. So in this case, federation uses the same directives to orchestrate the connection between the subgraphs to that one gateway graph, like the composed supergraph. And this build federated schema understands what to do with those directives to make sure that the schema that is outputted will be compliant and able to be composed with other sub schemas. Is that clear? Chat, let me know if that makes sense. Yeah. And so what we do is we're gonna build our schema from our type defs and our resolvers. So right now we don't have type defs. You can see here that we're reading from a file, a schema.graphql, but that doesn't exist here, and we'll make that exist. We will get to that here in a second. Yes, a mega schema. Yeah, actually, we call subgraphs are like the individual services, and supergraph is kind of like the term for that composed graph. But yeah, I like it. Supergraph. I
was gonna go for ultra graph.
Ultra graph plus ultra graph. Yeah. I love it. That's amazing. Okay. So in theory, if we started this, it would break, and it would break because we're going to try to read this schema GraphQL file and it doesn't exist. Also, we don't really have anything defined under our query. So let's make this happen. Let's make some magic. So we're going to add a new file, schema.graphql. And for folks who might not be familiar with GraphQL at all, the schema file is how you define the representation of the API. It lets folks know what data is available and the shape that data takes, and what they can access.
So we have a question here. So Scrotox is asking, so basically federation allows you to have multiple schemas and resolvers in one single GraphQL API?
Yes. So you can always have multiple resolvers, right? That's actually the whole beauty of GraphQL, is that you can have resolvers at the field level wherever you need them. But yes, it's more about that multiple schemas. It's about creating like domain-driven lines in your software or whatever your business, and then deploying those as individual services, and then tying those together to be exposed as one single GraphQL API. So while you might see the query type and that will have a couple different things that you can query, what services that hits underneath could vary greatly. It could just be one of the subservices. It could hit multiple of those subservices. But yes, to sum it up, it's about taking multiple GraphQL APIs and combining those into one super API. So I really want to make like a Superman like logo, but with the GraphQL thing, you know, for like super graphs. I'm on it. Yeah, time. Yeah. Time. So let's get to typing. So in here we can define our type. So we're going to have a type query, and you know, we're going to keep the example a little bit tight. So we're not going to go too deep into this. We'll keep it relatively simple, but let's start to define some types. So because we're in products, we would assume that we would be able to query for our products, right? We would have something like this. Normally we'd probably have some sort of like limits and offset. For brevity's sake, we're not going to get into too many of the options, only to say that we'll have products which will return an array of product, and we'll always get the array back. So no nulls, it'll either be an empty array or you'll always have products within inside of that array. Now we've defined this product type here, but it doesn't exist anywhere in our schema. So let's update this to say type product, and this is where it's going to get really interesting. So, well, to start, it won't. So we'll have a product. Product will have ISBN, and we'll make that the ID, right? So that's kind of like, is that what it is? ISBN, right? Isn't that like the,
is it like SKU, like a SKU?
A SKU, that's it. That's what I'm
thinking. I think ISBN is usually like the book number, right?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. So we'll have a SKU. It'll have a name. It will have, we'll say like a price, what is it, int, and then I'm not going to add too much other stuff yet. Maybe like a quantity, right? And that would be like an int. And for now, that's the base. That's a product. That's all we really need to get a product off the ground. So let's do this. We're going to save. Oops, wrong button. Oh, hello.
Those shortcuts.
There we go. All right, so we're going to save. We're going to save that file once I hit the right buttons. We're going to jump back into index because now we do have this schema.graphql file. We have defined our types, right? So we've defined this products field on our query type. So let's make this a reality. So for our resolvers, we have the query type, and we're going to need a products. And every resolver has the same signature. We get 4 parameters passed into it. We have the parent. This is a reference to other data at that level of the graph of where you are. So if I'm accessing here, I'm accessing products at the root. So parent will be empty. But if I was like nested under another type, that type's data would be available to me in the parent. Args are any, you could think of these like REST endpoint arguments that would get passed in. So like if we had limits, which would be like an int, would be an int, and offset, right? Like if we wanted to do pagination, these would come through in args. Context is things that you can pass globally at a server level that will get passed to all of your resolvers. This is actually where I attach things like database clients or data sources for like other REST APIs or other things like that. And then info, which don't really use much, has info about the particular query, the variables that were sent with it, the exact makeup. This can be useful for like a lot of advanced use cases for sure, but otherwise I don't really use it too much. We're not actually going to need any of these right now. So we're going to back them out because we're going to be dealing with fake data, right? Like we're going to make it up as we go. So in the case of this, what we can do is we'll return, because we know what we're going to do. We're just going to return an array of our own products, right? Like of our own making. So we can, oh wait, oops. It needs to be an array.
So for any data that you want to make queryable, do you always have to define those resolvers, or are resolvers more for combining data queries?
Resolvers are for when you have to fetch the data when the data is not already available at that level where that field is. And so what I mean by that is, like, let's take an example real quick. So let's say we have something like this structure of data that we want to get back, where it's like products, right? And then under products, we expect to get back like an ID. We expect, I'm sorry, so that would actually technically be the SKU. And then we want like the price. And then we also want the reviews for the product. In a single GraphQL API, this would most likely, this one here, this data is probably not going to just be readily available on the product when it gets back. So we would want to use a custom resolver to figure out how to resolve the reviews for this particular product. So gotcha. It's about fetching data when you run into the situation where you know what you need to fetch, but you don't have it readily available to you, right? And so the initial query would get the product, you know, and probably list those out, but it's going to take subsequent queries to get the reviews. The difference between this and REST is that on the REST, the client is responsible for knowing, understanding that, making that query, transforming the data itself, putting it into the state that it needs to pass to the client. Whereas with GraphQL, we just move that work back to the server, right? Like we say, this is the exact structure we want, please give it to me.
And I don't know if you heard that noise. You have 45 minutes remaining.
45 minutes. Okay, cool. Well, that's cool, because once we get through one, it's kind of like copy paste a little bit for the other two, and then we'll get going. We'll see. Okay, so yeah, so we've got an array. Let's get some products in here. We don't need many. We'll literally do 2 or 3. So in here we'll have a SKU. I set this as the ID. We'll just make it like a string, like 3, 4, 4, and 4. Cool. And then we had price, and then we'll say that this was a number, $9.99, and then we had quantity, and we'll quantity, and we'll say that there are 5 of those in stock. So now we've got an object. Let's go ahead and, so this would be Alt Shift down. I don't think that's going to work. I'm just going to copy and paste. This is, I can't, I can't figure out right now what these shortcuts would be. Okay. So, there we go. Yeah, we are building out product resolvers. Okay. Yeah. So let's see here. Oops, sorry. Like, retweet. Okay. All right. So we've got, let's change some stuff up here. This one will be $5.99. And we'll do, there we go. And some more random letters just so that we can tell them apart. So a lot of like faking UUIDs here, essentially, right? Like just, making things unique. This one can be $3.99.
You're more creative than usually I am. I usually just do 1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3. I know. I don't know why I'm doing this. I should just do 1, 2, 3, 4. Whatever. It works. Okay, so we've got it. So we've got our 3 products, right? So I'm going to save this. So in theory, we should be able to start up this API and run it. So start up the server. This would be on 4001. That's fine. So let's try it. So I'm in products right now. Let's do node index.js. Wait, or did I put a start command in there? No, I did not. Let's just do that real quick. All right. Okay. So now we can just run npm start. Yay, our first error. Oh, module not found. I never installed anything. Actually, we'll use npm, whatever. npm I Apollo server and Apollo Federation, I guess. Apollo server. Ayo, nailed it. Cue elevator music.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, coming in clutch for
you. You're the
there.
first person that had their own elevator music. I really appreciate that.
Hey, yeah, you know, I like to come prepared. You know what I'm saying?
Amazing.
That'll do it.
Some Naruto for any Naruto fans out there. All right, cool. All right, so we've got our npm installed. Let's try and run this one more time. I want to celebrate. So wait, did that run? Oh no. Okay. Well, we got close.
Almost.
Cannot read property kind of undefined. What did I do here? Rules.
Does the yellow mean it's unsaved?
Directive rules. Yellow mean it's unsaved. I don't see where do I'm sorry.
The yellow tab.
Oh no.
I'm just not sure if the okay.
Yeah. No, it is saved. This will be a circle if it's unsaved. But okay. Yeah, I think it's just the color it picks because it's a JS file, maybe. Yeah, okay. So well, this is okay. I'm sure I did something wrong. And I'm prepared for when I do something wrong. Because I do have another reference just in case, but I'm curious to see this should work. It should work. But I feel like I did something wrong. Extend
Shout out to
type.
Prisma. We've got Mahmoud in the chat here.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Heck yeah. Prisma's the bee's knees, y'all. So I have a federated graph backing like my personal site and stream and stuff, kind of like I call it the worst platform, the worst dev. Hey. But yeah, so it's really cool. So anyway, I always pull from here. And so what the problem is, I think I need to do extend type query and not just type. And that's because we're creating a subgraph here and not there. So I think if I go here and I extend this type, this might be the trick. Let's see. If not, we'll just walk away and just go on with our day. Yo, what is happening? Cannot
Do you need to do the product as well?
Oh. No, because this is internal to this right now. Can I show that Docker file? Yes. Yeah, that whole repo is open source. So if you want to see it real quick, let me just derail. You can go github.com, Kemple, bam, that will get you to that entire project. But yes, I have the Docker file in the gist as well, so we can take a look at that. But like, what is happening right now? Products, product, type, product, extend type. Oh, I never added the resolvers, first of all, so that's going to be a problem. No, I did. Products. Yeah, I did. Cannot read property kind of undefined. I have flabbergasted. I should have checked this, but it's a GraphQL validation, which means like something is not right here. Oh, is it not string or int? Did I do those incorrectly? No, he couldn't have. String, int. So that's not it. All right, let me look at it. Which one? Because that does not seem to be helping.
And like the schema was imported, right? I don't know if you need to import it.
Yeah, it's imported. That is definitely imported. So what's interesting here, though, I did kind of join two things together here. So where do I even use GQL? Oh, I bet I know what's happening. I'm not GQL wrapping my type defs. Okay.
You always got to do that.
You got to GQL wrap your type defs, folks. If you're at home and you're watching this, remember, kids, GQL wrap your type defs. All right. So we have our type defs here. Here, this means I need to do GQL, and then I need a ticky thingy, and then this, and then this, and then this, and then this. And then not that.
Yeah, something's not liking that.
Expected. I don't think it likes me doing this like in here in line.
Do you have GQL imported, right?
I do have it imported.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and just save it out here and see what happens. I don't think it likes it all being together like that. Parse type defs equals. Yeah, see, it does not care about that for some reason.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Because I took away the name when I did that. That's why. So I could have left it there. I removed the name. Okay. Now, will it run? That's the question.
I need a little jingle for that one.
Hey yo,
Ooh,
yeah,
Windows Defender.
Windows Firewall has blocked some features of this app. How dare you to communicate on these networks? Oh yeah, no, definitely not in the airport. Actually, I don't think I would care about that. But anyway, server's running. It's running.
Yay!
But is it really running? Can we query this thing? I don't even know. Let's find out. So what we're going to do is it's running on localhost 4001. So we're going to open this up in Explorer so I could take a look and see. So we're going to dive into Apollo Studio. I'm going to do a new dev graph. So Explorer is like a really awesome GraphQL IDE. And you can work with it in development by passing your local host URL. It's kind of like Playground or Graphical, but like yeesh, sheesh one. All right, so sheesh one, create the graph. Boom. And it's live.
Nice.
So, okay, cool. So we've got our GraphQL IDE here, right? We've got products with the SKU. We run the example query, and what do we get? We get back our products. So we've done it.
Beautiful.
And we see the SDL. So this is Apollo. This is the federated part of this starting to come to life. It's telling me under the service and the SDL, it's saying like, we're going to look for the product and stuff and get it out of here. And as we add more things, this will start to grow, like as we federate the graph, and we can see the whole query plan, like where it's going to go get all the data from. So we've got one service done. Let's go ahead and get the other two up and running, because time is ticking. Time keeps on ticking into the future. So we're going to command A.
Don't make me start singing here.
Yeah, please do. I would appreciate it. Yeah, all the singing we can get going. So let's go into Gateway. And actually, I wonder if it's easier to just like copy that, whatever. All right, and we'll command V this, but we got to do a whole bunch of stuff. Let's get some more PowerShells going. It's a phrase I never thought I'd say. All right, and so we're going to CD into, oh wait, that's the gateway. Haha, we're not going to CD into there. We're going to go into reviews. We'll do reviews. This file, I'll change that later. But here, let's do a new file. Index.js. Okay, cool. So in here, we're gonna again do that npm init-y so that we have a package JSON. We already know what we're using, so we're gonna npm I Apollo server and Apollo federation, deterfation, and oops, bonk. We're going to do that. While that's installing, we're going to also go ahead and create our schema.graphql, or not, because it decided that it was going to write node modules and take me out of write mode. Schema.graphql.
So just out of curiosity, would
Yes.
Yarn workspaces work really well for this kind of thing, since you can kind of hoist the dependencies up?
Yes, you could. So absolutely. I'm just like whizzing through this.
Yeah,
I
it's just a question. Yeah.
100%. You would ideally want to use a workspace, hoist all those shared dependencies up to the root, and do that. Like if for my personal site, I have like the gateway, the different services. I haven't even added workspaces yet, but I need to hoist that stuff out. And I have the Next.js front end in a folder which deploys to Netlify. And they all only do it when I touch the files like within that section. So it's really cool. And that's what we're going to try to get to today. But if not, I'll show you how I did it on mine. So awesome. We'll be good to go. Yeah. All right. So we're in reviews. We've got the dependencies. We've got that. But what we need to change now is like, I never pasted in the stuff from products. But what we need to change now is like, we're not getting products. We're getting reviews, right? And we're getting those based on different information. So we will load that, but we'll call this reviews, and we'll have, is that how you spell reviews? Why is it? No, it's IE.
I think IB for you. Yeah.
Except after C. Heyo. So, okay. So we'll leave the SKU, because that is how we will correlate the reviews to a particular product. Does that make sense? So a review would still need to have that. Let's actually start. Let's work from here. Reviews. review. I like to work from the types.
Well, wait, are you in the wrong schema file?
Probably. Products. I am. Thank you. Thank you. Too many files open. Index reviews. Yeah, that's fine. Save that for now. No, you can go away. Don't save. Index. Yeah. Okay. Ah, here we go. All right. Extend type query, which I don't even know if was the problem before, but I guess, we'll add it. Right. Reviews. Boop. So now we've got some reviews, and let's go make that a thing. All right, so we have a type of review, and we're going to leave SKU on it, which is an ID, but it's not this thing's ID. But I guess I still have to do that. I don't really know. I don't know how that works. Can two things be an ID on one field? We're going to find out. I think if not, I can just do this anyway, because it comes through as a string. Okay, we'll just do that for now. And then comment will be a string, and then rating will be, I forgot, not int, but I guess it is int, or maybe float would be what I want there. Like this should be fine. 30 minutes remaining. That's cool. Yeah. We're actually on pace. This should be good. Okay.
Awesome.
So we've got our reviews now. So let's go back to index and change a few things. First of all, I'm going to make this run on port 4002 so I can run this locally. And now we're going to change the reviews that we have here. Comment. Great. And then rating, you can still have a 5. So this will become a comment. And then this will be yikes, because they got a 1. And then comment here, we'll make this meh, because they got a 2. All right. Cool. So now we have a corresponding, they need IDs. And this time we will just do this. Okay. All right. So now we have our second API. Let's see if this is true. I need to add the command. So another cool thing too is like ideally you would use something like plop or something like that to bootstrap these whole like little directories and subgraphs, right? Like this could become like process. Like when you're starting like breaking something out into a new subgraph, you would run that little boilerplate command. It would scaffold the folder out for you, get you set up with all that stuff, But in this case, we're doing it a little bit more manually. So this would be node index.js. All right, and let's start it. All right. So what did we hit here? Unknown type dot concat name. Okay. Well, something in our schema. So extend type query reviews. I said reviews here, and it's review. Okay. Well, interesting. It says it's running on 4001, but I believe I specified to run on 4002. Let's go double check. Oh. Okay. All right, cool. But it's running, and it's on 4002. So now we can confirm this. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to shortcut, and I know this is set to sheesh 1, but I'm going to cheat mode, and let's do 2. And we should be able to save that. And it should still run, but we can't run this. There's no products. We can, however, run reviews and disable that query. So now we're up. We've got 2 out of 3 going. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. So here's what I'm going to do, though, actually. I think because I don't think there's enough benefit in setting up users as well. And with the time, I think I'll move on from here because we have a product which has a relationship to a review. And that should be enough to get us to that nested kind of functionality where we want to see why Federation works and like the coolness of it without having to just repeat for the sake of having a third service. So I'm actually going to nix that one so we can get rid of accounts here. Let's just delete it. Delete. Goodbye. And so now we've got both of these, but now we want these to work together, right? And we want that to happen within our gateway. So let's get that. And this is cool because like while there's still technically no relationship between our entities in our subgraph, we can still join them. So like they don't have to be related necessarily to need to be in the same graph. And some of the reasons you might want to do that, maybe like in the case of my website, I did it because one of the things that I do is interact with Twitch, and setting up webhooks for that is like a lot. It changes the whole way I have to structure the server. It changes the way I need to scale things and stuff like that. So I put that into its own subgraph. Then I have another one that's responsible for just the website interactions when people like my posts and stuff like that, and tracking what are like the most recently liked posts and stuff like that. And that's all isolated, right? And that's like Prisma. I use Prisma for that. I use a DB. It's not related to Twitch. It's not related to Shopify. So
Right.
why would I, merge all of that together, right? Like it introduces a lot of room for everything to go down if one thing goes down. So that's one of the reasons maybe you want to federate. Scale is definitely another one, both internally your team's scaling or horizontal scaling different services based on their needs. Like maybe accounts gets hits all the time because everything is related around users, but like honestly, there's other services that almost never change. And in that case, you don't want to scale it if you don't have to. So those are some of the things to think about. So let's go back to the snippets here. And I have one just for the boilerplate of the gateway so that we can get cooking through this. All right, so copy that. Roger, Dodger, copy that. All right, and now we're gonna go to this index.js and we want this stuff here. So we are going to go into our third PowerShell, CD into the gateway, and we'll do the same thing. We're going to npm init-y. And then we're going to npm I Apollo Gateway, not Apollo Federation, and Apollo Server again. Boom. So because we're running these locally, we haven't registered our graphs with Apollo platform. We don't know any of that. We can't take advantage of something called manage federation, which hopefully we'll get into in a little bit. So we're going to have to do this our own way. So right now I could run this, right? This gateway would run, but it wouldn't have a service list. It doesn't have any sub services to talk to at this point, right? Like, and it needs to get the information about them. So we can do this by defining a service list. Yes, a service list, which is an array of objects that takes a name. Yes, I'm killing it. Products and a URL. Yes, look at me. Look at me, ma. All right, URL.
So we have a quick question in here.
Hit me with it.
So Mahmoud was asking, Federation makes a lot of sense when you possibly have multiple teams working on different things and you want a single source of truth. The question is, where would you write authorization logic?
That is a really good question. So I will, please remind me of this again at the end, and I will grab you some links. So it's really cool because the way authentication and authorization works, it works like it would in like a microservices architecture, and you can take advantage of things like directives and the context on the subgraphs to do it. So what I recommend is your gateway, you would still pass like some sort of authorization header with a token, and the gateway passes that information on to these underlying services. So in each of those underlying services, you can parse it. That's my recommended option, because your token is then also secure, and it's only parsed and read in the services that are making use of it, as opposed to like parsing it at the gateway and passing down that information. So that's my recommendation. This is a very common pattern in microservices to have a single package that is like responsible for the parsing of the authorization header into your authentication. Am I who I say I am? And your authorization, like, can I do the thing I'm trying to do? I recommend GraphQL Shield is a great library to add like kind of the middleware to your APIs, should work with Federation. And then also, if you want something a little bit lighter, there's one called GraphQL Auth, shameless plug, that I wrote. which is just a nice like higher order function that you can wrap around resolvers to get that functionality. So there are definitely routes to do it, but yeah. And then also Mandy Wise wrote an amazing blog post, and then also has written or done a talk as well on authenticating federated APIs. You can find it on the Apollo YouTube. Yeah, but that's one of the most common questions, right? It's like, how do you do that? And it's cool because like when we start to think of federated GraphQL as microservices, really what it is, right? It's no different than having like an API gateway that is talking to multiple microservice REST APIs, except we're doing it in the GraphQL world. All right, so we've got our gateway now, and what I've done here is define the service list. And so now it's going to read the service list and say, okay, there's going to be a subservice called products, and it's going to be found. I can introspect that API at this URL. So with this, we should be able to run our gateway. So let's go to the package JSON and add a command for that. All right, node index.js, and let's save that. So now let's try it. npm start. Will we get an error like we have in the last one? So we got no error. So nice. Now our gateway is running at localhost 6969. Nice. And then we can go in to Apollo Studio, and let's make sure that this is in fact true. Let's see if this works.
So when you're setting up these different services to be merged with the gateway, they do have to be running like kind of on the side for them to get pulled together.
Yeah, so right, the way that we're doing it now, yes, because what's happening is this gateway is using introspection currently to join these together, right? And so that's what we do with this URL, right? It needs a way to know what's inside of that. And so you have to have introspection on, which actually we consider to be kind of a bit of like an anti-pattern for production. Having introspection on can lead to security vulnerabilities, as well as just like sharing information you might not want to, that you might not want that part of the API to be public. There is a way using Apollo Studio platform to turn introspection off and still get this. And that's by taking your schema and pushing it into the registry, right? So we believe the registry is like the future of GraphQL, and pushing your schema into registry should feel like pushing your code into GitHub or packaging your code and putting it on NPM. Because of the benefits that it gives you. And in that case, we would push our schemas. Apollo, every time we push to the registry, would recompose for us for the graph and then push those changes to the gateway. So once we deploy the gateway, this goes away. We pass an environment variable, the key to the graph, right? And that's it. We never have to restart the gateway. Like when I make changes to my underlying graphs on my website, I deploy that. That gets pushed into Apollo. Apollo is like, hey, gateway, you need to update. The new service is deployed and there's new schema changes available, and it will automatically restart the gateway for you and gives you that orchestrated deployment, which can be a pain to set up, because right now, if I were to go change the products or review service, I would have to stop the gateway and restart it to see those changes. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah, for sure. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Hey, welcome Trost, Alex Trost and his party of 8. Thanks for raiding over here.
Oh yeah. Thanks all for the raid.
I need a soundboard.
Oh, it's so much fun, dude. I have so much fun with it. Meetings, they kind of like get, everyone's like, hey dude, chill with the soundboard. It's fun. I love it anyway. They probably don't so much. All right. Okay, so we've got it running. We verified this, but it's not really connected. So I can do reviews, but now I can also say products, and I can get the SKU from here. And we run this, and the query failed. Field service. Okay, well that's interesting. Oh, cannot query field service. Yeah, that's not part of it, because it's not the subgraph anymore. So that doesn't exist. That SDL is on the subgraph. So there we go. We've got reviews. We've got products. But what we don't have is we don't have the reviews on the products, right? And that's really what we're after here. That's what we want. And so let's do that. And so to do that, first I'm going to dive quickly into the docs, because when we talk about like drawing relationships across these entities, one, I need a refresher because I am not a federation expert by any means. But two, I just like to share docs and like core concepts because sometimes it helps like set into stone like what this means. So when we're talking about entities, that those are those types. So an entity kind of correlates to, if I go into like reviews, is this. It's this type right here, this review type. This is an entity. This is a thing that we have defined that we said is important and we want to represent in our graph. And we want to connect entities from two subgraphs together. So that's kind of where we're at. And so to do that, we do two things. Number one is we define what the key field is going to be on a particular thing that other folks can use to find this, right? Like how do we draw this relationship? So for our product, that makes sense to be the SKU. Here they have UPC. I think I was thinking of UPC before, but either way, both exist. Okay. Doesn't matter. We have a SKU. We'll work with that. So if we jump back over here, we're going to go into products and we'll go into our schema and we're going to add that key directive. And so this is what I was talking about when I said we take advantage of directives, which is a GraphQL spec compliant feature to build a federation. 15 minutes. We're not going to get to the Apollo Studio stuff. There's no chance. I thought we would like maybe be able to squeeze it in because it only takes a couple minutes to set up, but we're not going to get to it. And that's fine. I think it's better that folks just understand federation, what it is, how it works. So the field here is going to be SKU. Scut is scut. So that's our field. So that's really the only change we need to make here. So let's do two things. Let's go back to our product and we're going to shut this down. I don't even know what that means. Terminate batch job. Oh, did I just shut down all of them? No. Okay.
All the things.
Yeah, right. npm start. So this should start back up. What is the font family? I honestly don't know because this is Windows. I don't even know if I have my fonts installed. Let me check my settings.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's not the same commands. It's not the same commands. Hang on 1 second. File preferences. How do you even do life?
Down there towards the middle. Preferences. They're a little down.
Where? Yeah. Oh, there we go. Thank you. Control plus here. Oh, this isn't the JSON either. All right, fonts.
I think it was right at the top there. The font.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, the Mona Lisa.
Font family. Yeah, Mona Lisa, which I think I do have on here. So it's probably Mona Lisa.
Trost is like, Kurt has 14 minutes until a spaceship explodes, and he's like, let's check the fonts.
I know. Yeah, thanks. Trying to distract me. It was worth it. All right. So I have to field on type string is required. Directive key, arguments, fields. Oh, fields. I did field. Fields. Boop. Okay. All right. So let's try and run this again. Cool. So now this is running. Success. So now other entities can now reference our product based on the SKU. So we've got this started. We have to do a little bit more to like do the working up of this, but it's pretty interesting. So let's do this now. So let's go back to the docs and follow the next step. So we've got our field. We don't care about the primary. What we do care about here is this. So now we want to add a product under our review, right? Like, or vice versa, reviews under product. But let's go with this one first. We'll do it from reviews first. And then, so let's go here. So now in reviews, we're going to come in here and change our schema. And a review will also have a corresponding product. And this is one of the benefits that we love about GraphQL, right? Like these relationships that we can define to get to these products. And that should be required. You shouldn't be able to have a review without a product. But we're not done. We have one more, actually a couple more steps, which is we need to extend. Oh, wait, no, we don't want to extend. So in this case, they're saying UPC is from here. Holy crap. Hang on.
So it'd probably be the SKU still, right?
Yes, it would definitely be the SKU, but that step was confusing me because needs to define its own resolver for the product to be able to get it because it doesn't know much about it except for the SKU. Yep. So under our review, so let's copy this. So, so if we come back to our index file and our type defs, so we have reviews under query, but now this goes under the review type. And then we have product. So the review here that's being passed in, this would be review.sku. So, or sorry, it would be,
Do you need to change that UPC there as well?
Yep. You got it. To SKU. There we go. Cool. And this would be, review.sku. So now, so what would happen now is like, if I were to query for a product on review, it's going to use this SKU to do that. But there's one more step, which is we haven't set up how to resolve that product based on the SKU on the product side, right? Does that make sense? So like, it wouldn't really know what to go do at this point just yet. And we do that by this, setting up a resolve reference, right, on the product itself. So now we're going to go back to the products service and add this reference. And this is where it starts to get
10 minutes
10
remaining.
minutes? Yeah, baby, yeah. Well, we'll at least get this done, which is nice. Index, where are you? Where is our types? Here we go, Command B. So now in this case, right, it's return fetch product by UPC. In our case, we're dealing with static data. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this out. I'm going to cut it out. We're going to store this to a constant. We want it to be above where it is used. Doesn't matter. Points. All right, so that's products. So now when we query for products, we'll return products. And now what we'll do here, because it's actually going to be reference SKU, right? We changed that. But now we can say products.find. And that's going to be product. And we're going to return product.sku is equal to the reference SKU, right? So now we've got this full circle relationship. So let's go ahead and restart both of these services. Oh, yes. Terminate the batch job. See if this one starts. Okay. So our product service is up. It's working. Let's go check out our, come on, Windows. Let's go try this one. Really? Okay. Oh, it was like right there. I went right past it. Developers will literally hit up 1,000 times in history, bash history, before going to therapy. Yep. Proven fact. Okay, but this one did not work. So what did we hit here? Hopefully it gives us a good unknown type product. Interesting. And I wonder if that's because... yeah, okay. Extends type product. I feel like I shouldn't have to extend this though, or I should be able to specify it's external. Hang on, I feel like I'm missing a step.
Yeah, where's that external one? I thought.
Yeah. Hang on. Yeah, well, this is saying that. Oh, okay. Extend. Need to find a stub of it to make its own schema valid. Stub includes just enough information for the subgraph to know how to interact with it. I see. I don't even think we need to do that. I think we can do, let's see if we can get away with this. Extends type product. I wonder if this is valid. I don't know. I have no idea. We're going to find out though. No, it's not, which makes sense. And in real life, it would actually be like this. Right? Like review should point to a review. But But now if I do this, oh, we only have 10 minutes. Let me just see something really quick. It's hard to read. Sorry. New terminal for me. Unexpected name extends. Extend.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Well, we're getting closer. Syntax error. That's okay. I like syntax errors generally.
Oh, at the end of review there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. There's no semicolons. Hello. All right. There we go. So now this one is running. Okay, so this is running. So now what we want to do is we want to go back and see if our gateway is going to still be running. We need to restart that. Like, so let's go back to our third terminal. Let's see if this compiles successfully and deploys. Okay, says it's still running locally. Says it's running. So now we're going to jump into here. It says that we're good. So let's try something.
Showing up on that auto, right?
Yep. Product. And then we'll get the name. And we'll get the... Oh, wait. Did I ever add name to those products? I don't think I did. Let's just get price and quantity.
5 minutes.
Oh, shoot. Oh, shoot. Uh-oh. Cannot query SKU on type product? At field. So let's see where.
I'm curious. Do you need to put SKU in the product query? I'm just wondering that because I've ran into a weird issue.
Yeah, you might be right. No, that's interesting. Let me see something here. And I'm not getting this. Okay, so let's see. That's the gateway. Yeah, name, price, quantity. I don't think I added names, so good thing I'm not querying for that. But why am I not able to... This should be working. Hang on. Famous last words. Yeah, we did this. We did this. Yep. Huh. Okay, I'm slightly confused. Let me go back. 5 minutes. Oof. All right. Cannot query SKU on type product.
Do you have to do that review definition on the product? Kind of like you're extending product on this one?
I don't think so. What's interesting to me is, sorry, let me go back to this. I should be able to, why can't I see the query plan? Okay. Let's see. First, let's remove this so that we have the one example. All right, it says we can't do SKU. Can we just do anything on here? What happens if I try to... Oh, I have SKU on reviews.
Well, I thought you have SKUs on?
Oh, I do have that on reviews, don't I? Oh, that might be confusing it. Cannot query field SKU on type product, line, column 33. Visitor, this is like the worst error message. Generally, they're better than this. I'm very confused. So what is going on? Well, hopefully we can get it within the next few minutes.
We've got about 1.5 left.
Yeah. All right. Well, now my eyebrows really are sweaty. Okay. Let's reverse this. Flip it and reverse it. And can we get this? Can we just do this? Okay, that's interesting enough. This should definitely break. Because we haven't wired that. Okay, so I can get the product and the SKU itself. What have I done here? Why? Okay. I think I did something in reverse. I feel like I put the resolve reference in the wrong place. No, because from the review. All right, let me go look at the code. All right. I don't think we'll make it in a minute and a half. Maybe we'll make it soon after. So in our products, we have the type product. Key field is SKU. And then here we would also want. Oh my God, 9 seconds, 7 seconds. All right. Well, we didn't make it. Okay. All right. Oh, you have your own. Yeah. Sorry. I should have let you do yours.
But it's happy music.
Nice. So I want to try something here and remove this. And let me just change this to something random like test string. I'm just very curious if I literally have to extend this for the sake of extension. That seems really bad. Oh, I wasn't restarting any of these as I was making changes. All right, this is reviews. See, and this is where like using NodeMon and managed federation come in handy because you don't have to remember to like constantly restart. Did I restart that? Did I not restart that? All right, so that's working, but now I also have to restart the gateway. And well, it's up and running, but that doesn't mean anything apparently. Let's see what we get. So this still runs. Use. Hey. Okay. Oh, comment is null on review.
Did you ever define the data for the comment?
For the reviews?
Did, right? Yeah.
I thought I did. Let me go see.
Sportox was mentioning maybe the error is because the SKU is type string in review and the products is type ID.
Oh, interesting. Maybe actually. Maybe. Yeah, we'll actually check that in a second. Thank you. But before I get to that, what was the first thing I was just going to look at? Yo, come on, ADHD, hold it together. Oh, yeah. Comments. Why is that not working? Because that could be very insightful. So reviews, index.js, ID, SKU, comment.
Oh, that last one has 3 M's, I think.
Bingo. All right. Good catch. So that was that. For sure. I never restarted.
I could see how that could,
get rough, right? All right. Okay, so now that's restarted. I don't think I would need to restart the gateway for that because it's just data. Yeah. Okay, let's try this one more time. We didn't do name. Let's do price. Okay. Cannot query field SKU on type product. I wish it just said why, because like there is 100% a field SKU on type of product. But it doesn't seem to be, typos are the developer's nemesis. It does not seem to be recognizing SKU for some reason. It has to be something to do with. Wait, it said SKU is undefined? Oh, interesting. Is this not working where I'm doing the... Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let me see something here. I wonder if this is not working. So let's take the results of this and console log it.
And just to be sure, are you okay on time that you're trying to wrap this up? Okay, cool.
Yeah. I got until well, really whenever. If we don't get this in the next few minutes, though, I'll just go over to my project and we'll we'll call it a wash. But maybe I'll come back and try again. All right, so I just want to see what's inside of this, right? So that's product that's going to be here. So yeah, we want to stop that. We want to start that. So that's now going. So now I want to see what happens when we query for this. What do we get? Very curious.
That's interesting. I didn't consider the fact that you would be able to log out the data like that right inside that resolver.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, CLOP development, console log oriented programming.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm totally for that.
Right. So here we go. No. Wait. Yeah. So here's what's most interesting. This is not even being called, right? So that tells me something is happening in this query for reviews where it's saying it can't get product SKU on type product. So this is very interesting. Cannot query field SKU on type product. So that gives me a little bit more insight. So we didn't get our console log. So what that means is I'm not doing this part right. And I think this might be what it is. I think that might be it. Let's see. If that's not it, I got a lot of work to do. Back to drawing board. All right, let's see. Okay, so we restart that. Hey, int cannot represent not. Oh yeah, we're in there. Int can't represent a thing. It needs to be a float. Oh yeah, we're in there. Okay. This is well, that should be fine. That's actually in products. Here I have price as an int, and it has to be a float because I'm using decimals, not a straight integer. So let's restart product, and I think this query is going to work. Hey, and look at that.
The data.
And we're getting the data. We are there, y'all. We are there. We did it. We're only a couple minutes late. Take that. All right, so let's see. Actually, let me be quiet because it'll probably get another error with my log. Oh, what the? Okay, that's even more useful.
Did you have to restart the gateway as well, or did you just do that?
I just restarted the other server. That is so wild. What am I supposed to do with this? What did we have? Quantity. Hey,
well, there we go. Nice.
I don't know what it is about the price, but it's working. We did it. I'm sorry, but I'm going to give myself a little bit of air horns there.
There you go.
This is actually kind of difficult. Yeah. Because it's only been 1 hour. And when you think about what we're doing, which is like spinning up 2 GraphQL API microservices and tying those together, it gets really interesting. But I do want to actually address that this did bring up a really good pain point around like that development lifecycle and having to manage and deploy your own gateway. And we can do a lot to get around that. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to jump into this project real quick and just spend 2 minutes just explaining like how it's orchestrated and how I'm in fact doing that. So we have a Twitch service and the website service. And if we, what's most important here is not actually those 2 services, but these GitHub workflows here. And so what I'm doing underneath these is we have, let's look at like deploy website. So what I'm doing is, first thing is I'm making sure we only do any work, when we're on that particular folder. So immediately, like we're not going to deploy 10 services every time we change something. We're only ever going to deploy the thing that we're working on. And what this will do is, first thing it's going to do is deploy the service to fly.io. Which is a hosting service for like node projects or other projects, pretty much anything that supports like a Docker file. And going back to, I forget who asked in chat about the Docker file, but this is where that comes into play. That's what I'm using to host these node services. Once it gets deployed and it's running properly, right? Like we know that it's been deployed, it didn't fail in the build process, then we're good. The next step is we want to push that schema to the registry. And so that's what we do here using the rover, which is the new Apollo CLI, and it pushes that to the registry. So now this is saying this is the latest version of this. And what's really cool is we can use this to check the schema later. So on PRs, when they're opened, reopened, or synchronized, what I'm actually running here instead is a check command. And we'll jump over to GitHub in a sec to see what the result of this is. And it's going to do that checking against all of the data coming in, like the monitoring that's set up in Apollo Studio. It knows exactly what clients are using what queries and fields, and will tell me if I'm about to break any of my downstream clients, or if my this composed schema that was broken half this time, I would get notified in my pull request and be like, hey, awesome. You busted this. Yeah, exactly. You busted this. Let's fix it. And so that kind of gives you that security. And so if we jump back into here, we're going to go to...
By the way, I love that CLI name, Rover.
It's so great. I love it. It's amazing. So we're going to go into this. This is my super graph for the worst dev. And what's really cool is when we're querying for that here, we can see the request time, but something that's pretty neat in settings, let's do editor hints, let's do subgraph source instead. Boop. I could see which sources, like which service is responsible for every field down to that level. That's when nice. I run these queries, I could do, I could have started the query plan preview, which isn't much here because it's nothing is connected, but for our query plan, it would show the relationships between products and reviews. It shows you how to do all that. And then what's most important here though is these checks. So when we talk about these checks, I can see like what build and what failed. So here we had one that failed, 9 affected operations. So by removing post, if I remove this field, I'm going to break different clients. It doesn't have a name on it, but it will break for this because this request comes in, right? And I can verify that. Yeah, and I can see the queries. It will take me to them, and I can see everything that I'm about to affect. And sometimes it might be okay. Maybe it's like a query or something that you don't care as much about, right? And you want that to be able to be done. I could have swore there was a way to open this in, and maybe this is covering it.
Yeah, that's
affected operations. Yeah,
of course, like for your own personal website, like that's probably not as big of, but I'm just imagining projects that I used to work on. Like it was so nerve-wracking to remove even just a property from a data source, because you never know who's using that, and it's not always easy and straightforward to find that kind of resource.
It is absolutely not easy to find that. I 100% agree. And as a matter of fact, when you have Apollo tracing turned on, and you're right, this is my personal website, it doesn't get a ton of traffic. This is like not as important, but when you're Major League Soccer, like where I used to work, this is largely important. We have our own mobile app. Then we have like other people who build apps off those APIs. We had like all sorts of third-party integrations and people doing everything. We would know anything that we broke for any single one of them, which when you talk about like developer velocity and just like safety, like giving your team that trust and agency to know that the things that they're going to do aren't going to break things. When we talk about the graph being the epicenter of communication, this is what we're talking about. This is what we're moving towards. And federated graphs, they make sense for a lot of situations. Of course, like you mentioned, not all of them, but even in the case of mine, I'm not big teams. I'm not any of that, but I still don't want a Twitch. I don't want one GraphQL API talking to Twitch, working with Shopify, working with my website data, it's honestly hard. It's hard for me to manage that just as a single
Right.
individual developer. So yeah, it's your use cases. It's pick or choose what's going to work for you. But I think overall, it's a good pattern for folks who are used to microservice type architectures and want that freedom and flexibility in a GraphQL world.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Kurt. Thanks for facing off. So, if you
Yeah.
wouldn't mind, do you just want to give a quick roundup of what you worked through?
Yes, absolutely. So what we did was we defined two underlying GraphQL APIs that we call subgraphs that we were then able to compose together into one super graph that runs through something called the API gateway. And what this allows you to do is to break up your graph into smaller pieces for whatever reason that may be that you need to accomplish that, but still export or expose that one composed graph to all of your downstream users, which is the beauty of GraphQL and what we love. We wouldn't want to have 3 Apollo clients to deal with the different APIs. It's just to break down the benefits of GraphQL. So that's what we did. To do that, we're running Node.js services. We're using Apollo Server, and we're using the Apollo Federation packages to parse our custom directives, and directives are something in GraphQL that allow you to extend the functionality, and then we run that through the gateway.
Awesome. That's all awesome stuff. Well, I really appreciate you coming on here. Is there anything you wanted to kind of shout out or plug while we got you on here?
Yeah, if this was interesting, if you thought this was fun, we're going to be taking this almost exact same project, and I'm going to be adding a shop to my website on the Apollo stream. It's called Launchpad. We do it every Thursday, actually at 3 p.m. Eastern time, so you can find us tomorrow. We're kicking this off tomorrow, so we'll be going through this exact process again, but we will be doing it with building out an actual Shopify API. It'll take place over multiple weeks, and then generally about an hour to an hour and a half each session. It'll be myself and Trevor Blades, and yeah, we would love it if you'd come check us out. Yeah.
And is that the Apollo Twitch channel?
Yeah, it's Apollo GraphQL is the channel name. Yep.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thanks again for coming on. Be sure to check out Kurt on Twitter. I posted his link in the chat, and Jeff, definitely check out all those awesome tools with Apollo. Next week, we're going to have Patita Konbad, who will face off against building a Chrome extension that shows Slack message previews in the browser. So Kurt, any last words?
Just have a great day, y'all. Happy querying, and thank you so much for hanging out. I had a blast. I hope you did too.
Awesome. Thanks. Well, this is Colby signing off.